Welcome to the heart of New York's Finger Lakes, where speed meets precision and history runs through every corner. This is Watkins Glen International, and today, Racers Elite takes over one of the most legendary road courses in America for a special showdown that's sure to test the very best. It's a chartered special here, one of the few that Racers Elite has every season, and we're glad you could join us on Maconi Entertainment for the action. Marty Sicalo with you alongside Ron Mons. Howie Burrows pushing the buttons in mission control. And Ron, the Glen is no Sunday drive. 7 turns, high speeds, elevation changes, and that tricky bus stop inner loop. It demands absolute focus lap after lap.
Oh yeah, this is one of those tracks that will go by in the blink of an eye. Only 7 turns around this just under 2.5 mile long road course here on this Cup layout. You've got a lot of interesting bends thrown into it as well. Of course, that inner loop, the bus stop chicane, immediately followed by the carousel. We saw a little bit of drama a little bit earlier on this weekend, shall we say, on the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series, running in some slightly slower cars. It was a rather fun race there, but the drama really in that race is actually heading on through some of the final few corners here, though. I feel like the bus stop going to be a treacherous spot. Perfect time to talk about the challenges, as we see a driver spun around in this qualifying session that the drivers are currently in the midst of right now. But I really think this race is going to be fun. Going to be a test of these drivers' skills and patience to be sure, but overall in this 90 lap long race that we have ahead, I think it's just going to be action packed.
This is a driver's track, but also a strategist's playground. You can't win here without nailing those braking zones, hitting your marks, and also having a crew chief as well who knows exactly when to bring you down pit road. Every decision today could be one that brings home the trophy. There is a halfway break in this race. It's a 90-lap race, halfway break at lap 45. However, though, the fuel window in this race today, Ron, you're looking around 36 to 40 laps, so pit stops will be the difference between taking home money or not.
Yeah, certainly going to have to worry about those pit stops come time for the later stages of this race. You think about the pits here at Watkins Glen, and you think about that rather sketchy pit entry. The amount of moments I've seen on pit entries over the years here at the Glen really would beggar belief. That inside run heading off through the final turn, turn number 7, going to be super vital to try and nail down so you can hit your marks and not hit the pit barrels at the end of that pit lane wall. But right now in qualifying, these racers don't have to worry about that. Instead, they just have to look to try and put the best time on the board that they possibly can. Currently 10 drivers with the qualifying time right now. Looking at that number 15 car with a little bit of a wiggle coming out of the carousel.
Only is it just that, but you also got to be careful of pit exit with those cold tires, especially trying to accelerate going through the pit exit access road in turn number 1. So right now, Dale Prokop Valakat, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, the quickest, 111.21. Cole Larson second, 111.36, and Pete Polini just went off track into the 47. His lap won't count. You're watching Kensley Smith in the 15. There's the damage done on the 47 of Polini. That's something as well we're going to have to keep an eye on here tonight too, Ron. There are track limits at Watkins Glen International. The 2 places, turns 1 and turn 6. They've got the edge of the red and yellow curbing that defines an off track, which would be a 1X. There is a DQ limit here tonight, set at 25X. So you got to be very careful when it comes to those off track moments.
Yeah, you know, running here at the Glen, one advantage that the real-life racers have over these drivers in the sim is they can utilize those track limits a little bit more extensively than these racers in this sim can. So you can especially see that heading down into turn number 1 and also coming out of the carousel. Let's follow here. This is the number 43 car rounding his way through this bend. And you can see not really running off there. The real-life Cup drivers coming up later on today probably going to be about, well, do you say about 50 feet farther to the left coming out of the turn, utilizing all the asphalt available. Won't have to worry about that here in this session. These racers just have to keep it on the road and try and keep those incidents down to a minimum. As qualifying is done, we could take a look at the starting grid here, Marty.
So here's how they'll line up. Dale Prokop Valakat starts on pole position. His time of 111.213, a tenth and a half better than Cole Larson in the 33. Row number 2, Lee Campbell in car number 60 to his outside. Brian LaPratte in the 101. Cody Bonelli inside row number 3 rounds out the top 5 next to Andrew Teft in the 98. Corey Crowell inside row 4 in the 20 next to Jesse Fox in the 69. Rounding out the top 10, these drivers took time. JD Larson in the 18, Kirby Wainscott in the 10. Behind them are on 11 through 15. They did not take time.
Yeah, and the list of these drivers continues on with Pete Polini in the 47 machine starting this race in P11. Troy Thomas in at 12th. Looking right behind on row number 7 will be Alex Teft in the 43 car. Next to Truth Poke in the 55 machine. And then running at your starting grid will be Kensley Smith in a very awesome looking number 15 machine, that Coca-Cola Star Spangled Banner, red, white, and blue paint scheme. I may be a little bit biased because one of my old carts used to be in a red, white, and blue paint scheme. I always loved that. I actually, incidentally enough, we may talk about some diecast a little bit later on in the show. One of my treasured possessions, I still have it in the box, is actually J.R. Hildebrand's IndyCar from his attempt at the Indy 500 back in 2022, and that awesome A.J. Foyt red, white, and blue paint scheme. So I'm definitely a little bit biased. That 15 car, though, right at the back, probably my recipient of the best paint scheme of the day. Look at that thing. It's just an absolute beauty.
So 15 drivers taking the green here this evening at Watkins Glen. Let's bring up that race format. Once again, there I know Howie brought it up earlier. 90 laps, the distance, full length. You'll see the 90 laps later today for the NASCAR Cup Series. And something to keep in mind as well, Watkins Glen, typically the shortest race of the season in terms of time. Going into last year, the average time of the race was 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 11 seconds. That's obviously with cautions. There will be only one caution here tonight as full course yellows have been turned off. There is a halfway break at lap 45 in which $50 will be awarded to the winner. 25x instant cap like we just mentioned, so you got to be very careful around this place for the long race, so drivers will be assured to take it easy going into turn number 1. But a lot of tire sets. I believe 9 tire sets, so 8 changes that the drivers have this evening. And finally, it's a fixed setup, courtesy of our friends at Maconi Setup Shop. And here's the catch as well. Drivers were not given that setup until this morning. So very little time to test things out. It's 11 o'clock here in the Eastern time, based out where I am, and obviously based out of New York. So, and a majority of these drivers, everyone based out of the United States, don't know if they're eastward. Some of them may be westbound. If you're eastbound, you may have had a chance to test it out, Ron. But if you're westbound, this is probably probably your first laps with this Maconi setup.
And
so Dale Prokop, Dale Prokop, Valley Cat, real quick, Ron, did not take the grid here, so he'll start from pit lane, and same goes too for Corey Crowell. Go ahead.
And I'm going to say this as well. I was looking at the YouTube chat, talking, not the YouTube chat, the iRacing chat, my apologies, talking about these racers being a little bit woozy. He didn't even, he just completely forgot to line up on the starting grid in time. He said Unreal was sleeping. Probably wasn't actually taking a nap, but, you know, that is, it shows it is a very early morning race, this 11 a.m. on that East Coast, 10 Central, 9 Mountain Time, and then 8 a.m. Pacific. Some breakfast racing for any racers who are running out there on the West Coast. That is a real test. We talk about these racers and the patience that it has to run well in a race here at the Glen. These racers are having to do it, probably not running on too much practice or too much sleep. So let's see what this race ahead really has in store. I think it's going to be an entertaining one.
As someone who is a huge Formula One fan, I'm used to these morning starts, so the iRacing pace car off at turn 7 will make the right-hand turn onto pit road. As we say here in New York, where else would you rather be than right here, right now? Lee Campbell, Cole Larson, bring us to the green. It's showtime at the Glen. It's a downhill shot here into what we call the 90 in turn number 1. Larson comes through with the early race lead. Campbell tries to clear LaPratt for the second spot. He nearly goes off the racetrack. And it's very tough to go side by side here into what we call the uphill part of the racetrack, Ron.
Yeah, as they head their way up through here, about to get their way spat onto the back straightaway for the very first time. Cole Larson getting off to a flyer in that number 33 car right behind, though. The battle very much so going to be on between Lee Campbell and Brian LaPratte. Let's see as they head their way down in there. Looks like we won't see an overtake attempted there just yet, but that 101 of LaPratte.
Larson sideways. He goes caught by the 18 of, I believe that's J.D. Larson. One other spin as well, the 98 of Andrew Tuft, and same for Alex Tuft in the 43. Not a good day to be a Larson or a Tuft so far. And through to the race lead goes Lee Campbell in the 60, and he's checked out of the hotel. Here's a look at what happened here on the bus stop. That can be Calamity Corner here this evening, and I think the 33 just lost it on the outer part of the inner loop.
Yeah, huge moment heading out of there. Very easy to have a moment like that happen, to be sure, especially on cold tires right at the start of this race. But the 33 of Cole Larson, that's going to be a real kick in the shins. Let's ride on board with this racer as he heads his way off through there. Full commitment, full at the limit of adhesion, heading off through here, whacking the curb. The curb wax, yeah. I don't think it was the grass. I think it may have just got a little bit squirrely over the curb. That's the thing with the curbs heading off through there. They are either all or nothing. You either have to slam into them and destroy your shock absorbers, or really just keep it smooth and stay away from them at all costs. I think he got the inside tires up off the air, but not the outside ones, and as a result of that, that pogo stick effect going to spin him around. Huge moment, though.
Cody Benelli second over Brian LaPratte. The bus stop here at Watkins Glen, one of the toughest parts here on this racetrack because it's the fastest speed you carry into a corner here at this facility. Because you got a long back straightaway, then you got to slam on the brakes about like 400 meters, 400 yards early before you make the right hand, the right, left, right corner. So it already bites a lot of people early. Watch some other racing here on track going into turn 6. Larson trying to rebound, trying to make a pass on Jesse Fox in the 69. Ooh. That's the battle for the 7th spot. Turn 7 very tough here as well at Watkins Glen because you always want to get out of the front, and it's a banked turn 7, so it's really easy to lose it in the center of the corner.
And Jesse Fox not having a very good run, heading off through the final few corners at all, going to lose that on that.
Oh, Brian LaPratte lost it in turn 1. LaPratte lost it in the 90 coming off turn number 1. Don't know if he hit any curbs, but just some rear end damage on the IMS ride. Look at what happened. So he already suffered that back end damage. Let's see if he just simply loses it. Oh, you know what? I saw the back end starting to come out at the entry of the corner, so I think he wheel hopped. Either that or had the brake and steered at the same time.
I mean, with these next-gen cars and the new 5-speed sequential transaxles that they have in these beasts, you don't usually see wheel hopping being too much of a case. I think he just lost it heading off through the turn. Turn 1 here at the Glen, super tough to try and nail down. He got downhill braking zone, downhill through the turn. Very easy to lose it, as that was a big running wide moment from J.D. Larson. He's going to drop down to 4th as a result of him going so deep off into turn number 6. I think he nearly ended up in Buffalo.
Here comes Troy Thomas trying to make a run. Go Bills. Thomas for the spot on 4th here on Larson. JD lets him go, and Troy Thomas takes it away. You got as well the 9 Dale Pro Cup Valaket after he started from the pits. What a comeback for him. Currently running in the 6th spot. Well, Watkins Glen, when you have to start from the pit lane, it's honestly not too bad because of how slow the drivers go into turn number 1. So you're not losing too much time, like you would say on a short track or a super speedway.
Yeah, it's still certainly not an ideal situation, but it is not the end of the road. Let's see.
Oh, we got trouble with Andrew Tuft. And the 98 lost it just approaching the outer loop in the carousel. That's in turn 5, and he's in a tough spot to try and resume things. Now he finds some space to back up, looked at his black box properly. The outer loop also very tough here at Watkins Glen because, oh no, he just lost on the X of the bus stop and tried everything to save it.
Yeah, yet again, I think the curbs proving to be
and Dale Pro Cup Valaket lost it as well in 6.
Oh, and you can see the damage on the front right of that car as well. The bodywork already missing. He goes in way too deep into the turn, nearly makes contact, hits the curb, loses it over there, and bang, into the outside tire barrier he's going to go. That has got to be a meatball flag there from that number 9 machine. We're hearing that, in fact, it is. So that's a big moment from your pole sitter. Started this race from the pits after not making it onto the starting grid before the start of that formation lap. Things clearly going from bad to worse for him. But yet again, the curbs proving to be a killer here early on, Marty.
Absolutely, the next gen cars do not like the curbs here. You can take that curb though when you go to the first part of the bus stop, but you better be ready for that car to chitter chatter underneath you here. The outer loop also very tough here at Watkins Glen. We mentioned it earlier because it's like you want to get your foot back on the gas, but you don't want to go too early here, Ron, or else you'll get really tight and may approach the boot area. And obviously we saw what happened in the Xfinity race yesterday, coming out of that outer loop with Austin Hill hooking Michael McDowell.
Oh,
here's a run, Cole Larson.
Cole Larson really playing with fire, heading down to the final turn as that's a pit stop. Who's that coming down pit lane? That's actually the 101. That's Brian LaPratte there. So he's already a little bit farther down as a result of some drama earlier on in this race. Currently class in P15, making that call to pit.
Oh, there goes Coach JD.
Yeah,
way wide in turn one.
Super deep into one, and that's going to cost him not only P4 but P5 as well. Truth Hook going to blow his doors off coming out of there. So the driver, the number 55 machine, still making his way up through the running order, currently holding on to the final spot inside of the top 5. Was just going to say though, thankfully for these racers heading out of the outer loop, the carousel as I prefer to call it, just because it's a bit more fun of a name for me to say in my own little pea brain. Thankfully for these racers, they aren't running for a blue collar team that owns a vineyard, so there won't be any worry about a massive wreck heading through that section of the track.
How about Hoke alongside Troy Thomas, the biggest movers so far through nearly 6 laps, and they're each up 9 spots. Thomas started 12th in the 3rd spot. Hoke started 14th, running 5th. And that's the benefactor of keeping your nose exceptionally clean, avoiding all those wrecks.
Oh, here comes a move from Andrew Teff down the inside of the other left of Alex. That's got to be very close quarter stuff down to turn number 6. And a bit of a wiggle there from the 43. He's going to lose out on some time and also lose out on that spot inside the top 10. I think LaPratte also picked up a pit lane penalty, possibly for speeding. So things going bad to worse for him. But that battle of the brothers heading their way off through the final few turns going to result in Andrew jumping in front of his brother Alex.
Yeah, turn 6 at Watkins Glen. Not the best passing zone here at the Glen, but Taft was able to get that one to work. And now starts to open up some speed on Alex. And just heard some contact. I believe Kirby Wainscott just caught the wall moments ago, but he keeps her straight. But right now where we're watching the closest battle on track for the 10th spot.
Continue to follow these racers heading their way off through the bus stop chicane. You can start to see these racers try and test the waters a little bit, dipping their toes into the pool, so to speak, when it comes to running on the curbs around this track. You know, I said a little bit earlier on as we saw some of the drama heading off into the bus stop, and I'll say it again as well. Doesn't matter whether it's a NASCAR stock car, whether it be Cup, Xfinity, or trucks, or even ARCA for that matter. Could be in an open wheeler, doesn't matter what sort of level of open wheeler it is. Could be a sports car for all I'm concerned. The curbs heading off through the bus stop chicane have taken a lot out of a racing team's budget. So heading off through there, you really have to play with fire. Walking around on eggshells would probably be the term that I would use to describe it. You have to hit the curbs in order to be fast, but at the same time, if you hit the curbs too much, you're going to, instead of making up a couple of tenths, you're probably going to lose a solid handful of seconds.
There goes Taft down Wainscott, 9th spot. Hit the easy button on that.
That was very easy there.
You guys heard it, didn't you?
Yeah. That was, ding, that was easy. Oh, we didn't hear the button.
Okay.
I think that may have been Discord. There we go. Perfect, yeah. Second tries a charm.
Yes, exactly. So, yep. Tough to make the overtake there for the 10th spot. So, now we're 8 laps complete. Working lap number 9 right now, Lee Campbell, 2.5-second advantage on Cody Bonelli as Campbell heads up into the yeses right now. Now the drivers have found their rhythm right now at the moment here, Ron. I think right now at this point you're just cruising, just try not to make any mistakes, keep it conservative. You want to make it to the halfway point so you can make that pit stop and make the adjustments you need.
Yeah, at this point, these racers are trying to settle into any form of groove that they possibly can. Still make up a couple of spots when the opportunity presents itself. At the same time, you want to keep it smooth, keep it easy. That's a side-by-side fight between the 47. That's Pete Polini, my apologies, getting a move put on him by the 9 of Dale Procott.
H per second, trouble, Cody Bonelli. Off in turn 5. Running second at the time. And Troy Thomas has taken away the runner-up spot. And look at what happened. He had spun on the exit of the inner loop.
I gotta wonder if the curb struck again here, Marty, as we see this replay heading off through there.
He
hit that curb, and then as soon as he hit that, the rear started bouncing around like there's a diesel-powered pogo stick underneath it. Big moment.
And Bonelli lost 2 spots because of that. Doesn't like the way the car's handling. Will come down pit road. Will take the quick repair on lap number 9. You can't be risking taking your quick repairs early. However, though, when you think of it at the same time, a fuel window around lap number 9, 36 to 40 laps. This is a 45-lap stage, so the window technically open to go the distance here in the stage. But remember, the pits do close with 3 to go before the halfway break, so there is that opportunity where you could still flip the stage, and we're going to see that a lot later today, especially for drivers that are looking for stage points and trying to help them out that are on the playoff bubble.
Well, thankfully for these racers, they don't have to worry about that too much when it comes to the playoffs, it being a special event, but these racers still looking to have a good one here today as we look at them heading their way off out of the pits. That's the number 19, slowly trundling his way through the pit lane.
Alex Tuff started the outside wall of the backstretch.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, Tuff's got sideways going down the back straight. And that car is not handling properly. And the 15 of Kensley Smith just went off as we were headed to replay. And somebody just blew up. And that was the 10 of Kirby Wainscott that also blew up as well.
What in the world happened there for the 43, rounding his way through turn number 4, just lost it and hit the inside wall. Let's take a look at this moment for Kensley Smith, the number 15 machine. The commentators jinx striking hard for this racer. Complimented the paint scheme. I don't think the paint scheme is nearly in as good of a nick as it was before. Contact being made. Was it a touch into the wall? No, actually kept it going. I mean, the tires have probably been turned into rectangles as a result of that off-track encounter, as that was going on the 10 of Kirby Wainscott.
We had something else as well. Cody Bonelli. This is Wainscott, and we'll show you what happened here. Watkins, Glen biting everyone in the rear end. All looks good. I don't think that was a curb. I think that may have been a downshift by mistake.
It looked like that car was really starting to hop up badly. That's what it looked like. We'll run on board with this racer heading off through here. We'll listen in closely to hear the note of the engine, but I think it may have been a pretty bad curb whack. Hit the wall front nose first and then blew the motor up as a result. Yeah, no, it looked like he remained in second the whole time. The curb whacked it badly, and then bang, that frontal impact. If you hit the front end hard enough on iRacing for a front-engine car, it will pop that motor, and that's exactly what happened there for Wainscott.
This is Cody Bonelli, and what happened to him. Also just had 2 other moments. So there's a lot we gotta have to unfold, and he just, again, popped the curb of the bus stop, and the inner loop is Calamity Corner at the moment. And, drivers should have, I don't know if that, obviously this is the first day with the setup shop as you're watching Alex Tufts, but drivers have had opportunities with days in advance to test out Watkins right at the end of that tire barrier. But drivers have had opportunities to figure out Watkins, Glen, and see where their car may not handle the best on the curbs. And then this should be the final one here. Pete Polini, this is the 90 in turn 1. Locked him up on corner entry.
Pow. Not the worst impact into a tire barrier that we have seen in the span of just a couple of minutes here, Marty. That hit for the number 43 of Alex Taft right at the end of that tire barrier. You can see it there. You see the tire marks. Hit that, and it just bounced him back onto the racetrack. That was a sickening impact. I believe he's still out there on the racetrack. Took that tow to come back down pit lane. Thankfully, this track is a bit of a short one, so if you do have to tow back, it is not the absolute end of the world. I mean, it's not great either, but it could be a hell of a lot worse.
You're watching a 3-car race for 6. J.D. Larson, Andrew Tuft, Jesse Fox. Larson again trying to keep that nose clean. Tuft recovered as well from a moment earlier. Jesse Fox started 8th and currently running 8th as they head down the back straight.
Looking at that, battling, still gonna flare up. Will it be a dive? It won't be a dive. Heading down into the bus stop. We've seen so many racers have difficulties heading off through that section. As much as it's usually a premier overtaking opportunity, if you're feeling particularly gutsy, I don't think we'll see this. Give it a bump and give it a nudge. Heading his way through the carousel, and through goes Andrew Taft. J.D. Larson getting the bumper put to the back of him, and through goes Taft into 6th, and all that drama. I think we've had some more chaos going on a little bit further behind, potentially. I heard involving maybe Cody Benelli having a moment.
Yeah, here's a look what happened.
Machine.
Yeah, here's a replay. Oh, nope, this may have been actually just netcode.
Yeah, I think that may have been a UFO abduction through the final turn.
So, let's go back to 7th while Tuft is pulled away from J.D. Larson. Jesse Fox trying to attack here in turn 1.
Yes, I gotta say that number, I can't tell whether it's a number 18 car losing out on a lot of time during that previous lap, or if Andrew Taft has just kicked on the Cuisinart and is pulling away from everybody. But it looks like this 3-car battle has turned into a 2-car fight as we ride on board with Jesse Fox heading his way off through turn number 4 onto the back straightaway right about now. Will it be a battle with himself and J.D. Larson throughout the rest of this lap? Down into the bus stop. Let's look at these racers. Small whack of the curb, another small whack of the curb. It's that 3rd curb there that's caught out so many. You're putting so much stress on these cars trying to go through there with a lot of momentum. That 3rd curb heading off through there has claimed many lives up to this point in the race, and we're only 15 laps into a 90-lap long race as we take a look at a moment. Another bit of drama involving Kirby Wainscott in the tent machine.
Yeah, I got reports he went off track for about 2 seconds or so. I think it happened off of turn number 6. Oh, dirt tracked it. Would you consider that a save or not, Ron? I consider that a save.
I would say I'll look through my usual parameters for a save. Is if that car drops down below 10 miles an hour in the act of a slide, I do not count it as a save, but I don't count it as a spin either. I just count it as a slide. So I think that may have been a slide in my book. I'll have to get the exact numbers there. Here's Jesse Fox. A little bit of damage on the front end of that number 69 car, so not sure exactly why that car was pinned in at the present moment, but currently slotted in 8th. Could be part of the reason why he hasn't really been able to make something work on J.D. Larson. These cars are rather aero-sensitive, even on the road courses, so you got a little bit of front-end damage like that. It'll feel like you're dragging an anchor through asphalt.
Again, battle for 7th happening on your screen, so while that's happening, the rest of the field is all pretty much spread out. Closest gap behind them, 2.2 seconds between Kensley Smith and Cody Benelli for 10th. But while we watch this race on track here for 7th, let's get your keys to victory here tonight, Ron. We've seen a bunch of them already take place.
I'll tell you what, I think the main key to doing well in this race is don't let the curbs bite you where the sun doesn't shine. We have seen that enough already in this race, the sun peeking out through the horizon on this morning here in the U.S., and these racers have been mourning the loss of many different parts of their cars, as we've seen moment after moment heading off through the chicane. So survival is certainly important. Remaining focused on the end of this race as well can be super, super key. If you realize, like, hey, I am early on in this race, I don't want all this drama to really distract me. We have still got a whole lot of racing action position still left to go here in this race. So remain focused on that checkered flag coming out in the rather far off future at this point. Only 16 laps in to this 90 lap long race. There's still a lot of time left for these racers to make up some time if they have had some setbacks or lose out on some times if they start to get a little bit of overconfidence going on. I think overconfidence can be key as well. You want to maintain your level of comfort running around this track with the curbs, with the quick nature of this track and the high speed, high pace action around here. You can't be too comfortable. If you're too comfortable, that'll be when something like that goes on. A big lockup into turn number 6, gonna drag Jesse Fox nearly off the track, losing out some more time to back at JD Larson.
You know, a bunch of things I look at here. Number 1, starting position and track position, which is very critical with this place not being the easiest to pass unless you pass someone that is in an accident. You want that clean air, you want that good positioning, and fast qualifying run can be huge. Lee Campbell started 3rd. Front row, though, had issues early. But look at what happened yesterday in qualifying. Ryan Blaney gained the pole over Shane Van Gisbergen. SVG on the front row. That's going to be huge for him, obviously. But Ryan Blaney has been good on road courses lately, and perhaps qualifying is the reason why. If you've got that road course speed, the road course skill, and the long run speed, that'll help you out. We're seeing that for Campbell right now as he's opened his lead on Troy Thomas now to 7.2 seconds. If you can lead the speed and overall speed, long run pace, passing efficiency, and when we get to the halfway restart, that'll work. The strategy, fuel, tires, timing. We're going to see, again, when we get to 3 laps to go, who's going to flip the stage and try and get that track position, because you absolutely want it. Do not be surprised if a guy like maybe Campbell or even Thomas, they flip the stage, don't take the $50, believe they got a chance to double their money and double or nothing and get $100 in this one. But like, you could see drivers maybe saving fuel, like what Martin Truex Jr. did in 2017. And finally, defensive driving. We're not seeing it a lot. We're just seeing drivers, obviously, in this first half just cruising around. And we just had one on pit road. That's Kensley Smith. We're not seeing a lot of drivers drive defensively at the moment. But late in the race, if there's battles, don't be surprised if there is a lot more defensive driving drivers looking at their rearview mirror. Finally, if you win at Watkins Glen, you often rise to the occasion, like Chase Salley, who's got 2 wins here. Same with Kyle Larson. They perform well at this track. So those are really my keys to victory at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, I gotta say, Glen, an absolutely fantastic racetrack. I adore this cup layout as well. You know, it is not the one that I feel like I've seen the most amount of racing on. I tune into the IMSA races, and back when IndyCar used to run here back in 2016 and 2017 before they moved off to Portland, where, interestingly enough, they're currently running at this weekend. But as much as there's a lot of stuff talked about the boot configuration here at Watkins Glen, I'm a fan of the cup layout, honestly. I just absolutely adore this version of the track. It's quickly paced, it's high paced, and in an AI race, I do a lot of the AI racing here because the officials, especially on the open wheel side of things, usually whenever I'm running an AI race around Watkins Glen, I decide to go for this cup layout, either utilizing that chicane or doing the old classic configuration before they added this in for the 1992 season, running straight through there. It is such a fun race. It can be a bit of a draft fest, but man, open wheel cars around this cup layout have made me absolutely adore it. Maybe it's that, and also the fact that the turn coming out of the boot back onto the cup layout, right about there on the track, you can see the inside curb there. That turn on the full-length version of Watkins Glen is my personal sleep paralysis team, and I think Howie on the production truck can attest to that. I think one of the first shows Howie and I ever did together, I fired off a 15-minute long tirade talking about that turn, and frankly, I could have gone on for the whole show. That turn on the full layout is the reason why I absolutely adore this Cup 1, just so I can completely bypass it and pick a finger as I drive past it. And funnily enough, praised by Howie and the other production truck, the other series that Ellie and I cover, will actually be running at this track as the season finale for the Formula Ford 1600 Strength of Field race next season that you can catch every single Monday here on Maconi Entertainment. I love the Cup layout. I may be a little bit biased. Again, very good reason why I'm behind the microphone instead of behind the wheel. But the Cup layout is super, super fun.
7th spot. We got a 3-car battle here. Larson, Fox, Dale Prokop, Valaket, who was the quickest in qualifying. Now all over Jesse Fox in the 69. This pass. Could see it maybe happen in either turns, or it's actually this corner. Yeah, I think it's going to happen here.
That was easy.
Ooh, there they go. And that's a move.
So Valaket threw up to 8th. JD Larson sideways off at turn number 7. A little bit early there on the accelerator. And Prokop Valaket to take advantage of it as he set up here to turn 1. I don't know if this is the place to make the move. Larson gave him the lane. Oh boy, that was risky.
That could have ended in an absolute disaster heading off into turn number 1. I understand the challenge of that section a little bit earlier on in this broadcast, Marty. Downhill braking zone, a little bit off camber. Can be super tricky. Here we go, though. The 15 getting a lot of momentum heading off through turn number 4 onto the back straightaway right about now. Will we see a move potentially heading our way down back here? Looks like they will remain line astern as it stands at the present moment. Close quarter stuff, though, still throughout this field.
Kensley Smith, though, a lap car, so playing a factor in splitting up JD Larson and Jesse Fox for position. Fox is just hoping that Smith gets out of the way, but Fox, because it's a road race, Fox is responsible for finding a way around Kensley Smith. Smith, though, does have the fresher tires, pitted on lap number 17, so he does have the advantage when it comes to grip, so that'll happen there. And now Larson with the lockup into 7 on Fox still has the apex, and he clears the 69 for 8.
That's a pretty nice move there on the number 69 car right at the end of this lap. Will we see a retaliation overtake? Will we see another one? No, that could have ended in tears of there. Lockup in the inside.
I saw the puff of smoke off of Jesse Fox. No harm, no foul. We continue raced, and here's a replay of the pass made here by Jesse Fox.
And let's see as it gets tripped up a little bit there with the number 15 car running wide through turn number 6. And oh, look at that big lockup there. That 69 car really struggling with those front lockups. The amount of puffs of smoke I've seen off of the front end of that car throughout this race would really beggar belief.
We had Cody Bonelli wreck off at turn number 1. Also, Cole Larson is on pit road here on lap 22. So that's Bonelli. There you see Larson just is making his stop at the moment. This is a replay what happened with Cody in the 19. It happens off of turn 1. This is turn 7, so it should be coming next time by.
So this was a call before the storm before that.
Cole, by the way, off pit road, 15-second stop. Just took too much curb on corner exit.
Yeah, as much as we've talked about the curbs heading off to the bus stop, I think the curb coming out of turn number 1 can be just as sketchy, if not even more sketchy, heading off through there. We also saw the exit curb of turn number 6 really bite.
Whoa,
what happened there? That had to have been a hardware failure for Jesse Fox.
That was nasty for Jesse. Here's an onboard with the 69. Or we were just showing Fox moments ago. Caught the curb there, no issues. Oh yeah, that's easily a controller issue.
I'm not sure whether or not that was a controller issue, because it looked like that was a fluid movement down in there. It didn't look like it just snapped in one direction. I wonder if his screen potentially froze, his screen blanked out there.
That could have been that too.
To call it
PC shutdown. Wow. The blue screen of death popped up for Jesse Fox. Wow.
Blue screen of death, and that's exactly what happened for him into the outside wall.
It's amazing he dealt with that blue screen of death, and iRacing kept going and still had the crash.
Hey, I mean, This is going to be bad. I apologize. I apologize for this joke. Not the only crash that took place was his PC. That was a huge moment heading off through turn number 6. The tire barriers here on iRacing, gotta raise that point whenever we see these drivers just crank it into the wall. They are not near, I mean, real life tire barriers, they're not exactly forgiving, but they're a lot more forgiving in real life than they are in iRacing. The tire barriers on the iRacing platform basically made out of the matter of a neutron star. So when you slam into them, there is no give, there is no yield. It is just slamming straight into a concrete wall, and your car basically being turned into metal confetti as a result of it.
Hey Ron, why don't iRacing drivers like PC crashes?
The paperwork involved?
Because that's the only time they can't blame netcode. Hey, you know, we were talking. You were talking about this. You were talking about this before we had the accidents break out. We were talking about this before we had all those accidents break out. How, you know, talking about NASCAR and the boot. I've actually asked AJ Allmendinger about this on record a couple years ago when I covered the races at Watkins Glen, and I asked Allmendinger about that, and I don't think he's ever run the boot in the past, whether it be IndyCar or IMSA, but he said he loved to run the boot. It's a lot more challenging, a lot more racing on the track, and the drivers would all love it. It's a lot more technical out there in the boot area compared to what we see in the short course for NASCAR. And in fact, remember this as well. Before IMSA came together, back when it was the split of sports car race, you had Grand Am and American Le Mans Series. Grand Am ran Watkins Glen twice a year. They ran the Salem 6 Hours of Glen like normal with the boot. And then they also they ran I think it was like a 200-mile race. And that was done with the shorter course. They did that on the Friday night of the weekend of NASCAR Cup and Xfinity action. And I've asked some IMSA drivers that they would love to run the shorter part of the track as well.
You know, when you look through the history of American sports car racing, there's some rather odd stories heading off through there. Here's a rather interested one.
Ooh, Prokop Valiket off track.
Yeah, that's a big moment heading all through there. Got to quickly run off into the grass. Probably going to have to serve a slowdown there as well. So not only does he lose out on P6 in this race, also going to drop down even more as a result of that moment. Tough stuff heading off through there. Got to take a look at a replay to see what happened here. Maybe it's a bad curve whack heading off through there. Really got it wrong on entry. Gets sideways.
Save.
Doesn't spin it around. Very well held there from the 9.
Phenomenal. Prokop Valiket just went off again, and he's on the beach. Into the gravel trap. Back to the kitty litter, and he's going to bring a lot of it on the racetrack. That is going to make turn 6 very interesting now. Look at all the gravel down that. A loss of grip for a lot of drivers there, so drivers will have to be very careful because it's spewing gravel in that final part of the racetrack.
An abundance of kitty litter. Actually, no, I think we can say it's the gravel crunch adding all through there. There's a spill of the cereal. There he goes off the track and going to drag on.
One other driver just lost it there, Alex Tuft. And that's before the gravel. Look at all the drivers running through that.
Yeah, I mean, as this race continues to go on, anyone who runs wide heading off through there either got to bring more and more gravel out there onto the racetrack, bring more dust onto it, and you can see that gravel deposit there. Going to drag more of it onto the racing surface. Look at the gravel heading off through there. Turn number 7 just absolutely caked in the stuff. It's so stoned that, and we're off the air.
Now, this is basically going to make turn 7 basically one groove. Now, they're going to be able to clean that off here based off of what line they choose, and obviously drivers will want to choose the bottom side of the racing surface. However, though, if drivers try the high side, they're going to lose a lot of grip, and that could likely spin them out coming off turn number 7. Right on board with Lee Campbell. You'll see the gravel right there on the bottom. So, like, the drivers will be able to clean it off and run that out of the asphalt, and eventually all will return back to normal. That's something new that's actually happened that happened in the last iRacing major update going into this current summer season, I believe.
You know what's going to be odd about that, heading off that part of the track, is going to be the round of pit stops coming up in the not too far off future.
That's
here,
a great point.
That is right in that lane to go down pit lane. So if we see anybody even run a little bit wide heading off through there, more gravel going to get strewn across the track. And I think I said this at a race at Laguna Seca that I was doing a broadcast for not terribly long ago. The amount of drivers running off into the gravel through there and dragging it onto the track. I think I said the corkscrew crunch heading off that part of the track. I'm not sure I need to come up with a new name for it, but here's a one pit stop. That's the number 20 of Crowell.
Yeah, Corey Crowell, no issues luckily going on to pit road that time. So I think the gravel issue has gone away, but it all depends on how early you come down to pit road. We'll watch the stop here for the number 20. Great camera work by Howie once again, along with the good friends of Whiplash. I remember pit road is different here at Watkins Glen because the right side of the wall, tires start on the left side first, then they go to the right side, and the fuel nozzle is inserted on the right side of the race cars. Always a big difference here when you come to Watkins Glen every single year. Watkins Glen is like that. I'm trying to remember other tracks that have that. I know Road America back in the day was like that. The Chicago Street Course is like that as well. Obviously, we don't know what San Diego's going to be like down the road. But when you're looking amongst the active road courses on the Cup schedule right now, I believe it's just Watkins Glen and Chicago. I'll have to double check.
I'm trying to go through my head right now in terms of tracks that may be like that. Oh boy, my three brain cells are smashing together at the moment trying to form a thought. My brain's basically like that lizard meme that's going around social media right now. I think Garrett Smithley was running a car with the lizard meme on the hood. I think that was posted in the Maconi Entertainment Discord server the other day. I saw that on Twitter as well. I was like, no way. Does Mexico City have that sort of thing going on as well? I'm trying to think. It's difficult as well because I am slightly dyslexic.
Yeah, you're right.
So
Mexico City
think,
too. Yeah. I didn't think about that.
So Mexico City, it's not on Cup. Does Portland run that as well? I think they may. For
Portland is one for Xfinity. Yep.
And I'm trying to think of what other road courses there are.
The Canadian Tire Motorsport Park back when trucks ran there. That was 1 and 2.
That's a track that I have my own thoughts on CTMP. That should be part of the NASCAR calendar again. Screw Montreal, even though I absolutely adore that as an F1 track.
Come on.
I love CTMP. I also think that they desperately need to update that here on iRacing because the old scan of CTMP is still here on iRacing, and the asphalt heading off through there is about as broken out as my face when I was 14.
Starting to get a battle here for 7th in just a bit. Ambo, Riddell, Prokop, Valaket. Now, they both pitted a couple laps off of each other. Crowell with the small advantage, 2 laps of fresher tires. That's the race for 7th on the speedway.
As I saw the message from Howie up there on the other top end of the screen. Brands Hatch for the NASCAR Cup Series. They run the Euro NASCAR Series there. I may go down a rabbit hole of Euro NASCAR tracks that may host that would be the host of a very intriguing Cup race. You know, IndyCar actually ran at Brands Hatch twice in rather interesting years. First was all the way back in 1978, and then secondly was back in 2003, and being brought up by Howie as a reason why the short version of Brands Hatch is called the IndyCars. They did not run on the full configuration, and interestingly enough, in the same year that IndyCar ran at Brands Hatch for the first time back in 1978, as that's a huge moment for Brian LaPrade heading out of the carousel, just because, what in the world happened there?
Happy late Easter.
Yeah. Bunny hops going on there. Oh boy, I'm not really sure what sort of laws of physics were broken to create that sort of moment. Right as I was talking about IndyCar racing at Silverstone back in 1978, we see a NASCAR Cup car do a hop, skip, and a jump. You know, I'm not a physicist, but I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh my God, what a save. Too much curb off in turn number 1. My goodness.
Oh boy, these drivers are trying to give me a panic attack. Right as I pass it back off to you, Marty, we see, I think that was like 5 snaps in the span of a couple of moments, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth for the number 9 of Dale Prokop. He's still running in P8 as it stands right now, and has got that, I'm trying to see who that is. I think that may be a lap car there. That's a 3 running right there in the other distance. That's actually, is that Troy Thomas, your P2 runner? I believe it may be.
Yes, it is. In the 3? I believe so, yeah. They've been your 2 dominant drivers. For those wondering, 6 cars on the lead lap, and as I say that, Lee Campbell comes down pit road. Remember the window? 36 to 40 laps on fuel. And it's Campbell's time to come in.
Yeah, we do have to worry about the end of this stage coming up here soon as well, Marty.
Hey, Ron. Why did the iRacing driver marry a curb?
Why?
Because every time they touched, sparks flew. I'm here all day. I'm here all day.
Alrighty. I like the threat from Howie in the production truck as well as saying to Marty, I can mute your microphone with great power.
Oh, we got trouble.
Great tomfoolery.
43, Alex Tuff to round off 1. We also got another great race in here. Tuft and Larson into the 90 for 3rd. Tuft yet to pit. Larson pitted on lap 22.
Badley's still got flare up with these racers. As we get to the end of this first half of the race, Marty, I think we're going to start to see these races really begin to turn up the wick, doubly so because we have those pit stops to worry about as well. So let's look at these two heading their way down the back straightaway. A move potentially here down the inside into the bus stop. That's going to be gutsy. Oh!
And this could be a shot. Ew, man. I think he just kissed that safer barrier. Here's another look.
Just barely. Oh, man.
Wow. That was risky defense by the 98. Too much curbing, though, from Cole.
I'm shocked. I thought those two had actually
Oh, he never touched it. He never touched it.
Brilliant stuff there. I mean, his tires have probably been turned down into squares as a result of all that, but well held on the brakes to avoid contact with that safer barrier.
And this is Alex Tuft off of turn 1 and too much curb, and that's a hit there into the guardrail. I think he had another accident too after Larson's crash. Let's see. I think how he's pulling this up right now, and I believe this was off the 90 as well. This time off track, and he catches the tire barriers, loses control, and head on. Hood pins dislodged. Onboard Tuft. And what's about to be a hard hit. Gearing as well, we had something as well break out with Corey Crowell. Here's what happened to the 20 car.
I was just going to say that moment there from Alex Tuft, who I believe has run at a faster pair, so he's out of it here in this race. That was the F1 2015 line that we saw from him as a big lockup down into the final turn. Corey Crowell got to loop it big time, hits the wall. That's going to take him out of contention once again. That was a huge lockup down in there. Not exactly sure what caused that to take place because it looked like those brakes just completely failed on him.
Truth Hope gives up the lead on the pit road, and so we continue on with the race, and every driver has made a stop of some sort, and so they will all be good to go the distance here in stage 1. Nobody gonna flip the stage, so Lee Campbell about 10 laps away or so from picking up the $50 bonus for leading that halfway. And what a drive he's had so far. Just kept his nose clean. Took advantage of, I believe it was Cole Larson's spin coming out of the inner loop. And since then, Campbell has just opened up the gap, a 15-second lead on Cole Larson. He goes a little wide there in turn 6, luckily able to catch it.
As we are at this point of the action right now, getting to the end of this first half of the race in about 9 laps time, I am going to allow myself to retort at some of the jokes that you have made up to this point in the show, Marty, with a joke of my own. Would you like to hear it?
Sure, why not?
A severely dehydrated man walks into a high school prom. He stumbles around and finds a class clown whose comedy routine at the talent show the night prior bombed. The dehydrated man walks up to him and asks, "Where's the punchline?"
Good night, everyone. Oh, boy.
I like the message from
Howie.
Howie up at the top. Yeah.
That'd
Get me out of here! We like to have a good time here at Maconi Entertainment.
You know, Howie could mute you as well.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
He's probably already muted me.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't already.
You can be lead, yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, by the way, not our only broadcast of the day here on Maconi Entertainment. Don't forget tonight, door-to-door sim racing action from Watkins, Glen at 8 o'clock. I believe there will be Ron alongside Jeremy Briggs with Christian working that broadcast later tonight. So make sure you don't miss out on that. A lot of action as well coming up throughout the week here on Maconi Entertainment. You got the 1600s at VIR Monday, which is a phenomenal racetrack.
That's gonna
Racers
be fest.
Racers Elite have their truck league Tuesday at IRP. Friday we've got ARCA USA broadcast on Friday, and then full-length Cup Challenge Saturday night at Richmond at 8:30. So a lot of fun stuff coming your way.
Man, imagine one day if the truck president of IRP actually comes out and says it should be pronounced ERP.
ERP. Or back when O'Reilly sponsored it, ORP.
Orp O'Reilly Auto Parts. Boy.
Or Lucas Oil Raceway Park, LORP.
LORP, yeah, there we go.
Orp O'Reilly Raceway Park.
Bow! I gotta say, I have a bit of an affinity for the fine folks there at Lucas. So I've been to IRP before. If anyone has ever heard of the Fastmaster series, I think NASCAR Man on YouTube has a documentary about that series. Just picture a Masters tournament of motorsports where they put them all in like $500,000 Jaguar XJ220s, and that pronunciation may have just completely racked with our resident Brit Howie and the production truck, the Jaguar XJ220, and run them around IRP on the oval. And you can imagine how that sort of race went. They actually have the trophy from Fastmasters that they ran 1 year in 1993 and then never decided to run again because there was like a 5-car pileup in the first night, and there was like $2 million worth of damage done to these poor XJ220s. But I have a bit of affinity for the people over at Lucas Oil. I occasionally talk about my own real-life racing adventures, and back in the day, this was from 2014 to 2018. It's actually sponsored by Lucas Oil for my own karting adventures. Those people at Lucas Oil will always be in a very good standing in my book.
Corey Crowell with the save going into the inner loop. Had a close call there. Crowell running in 9th. There's a look at what happened.
Jackson.
Through the lawnmower. Dirt track set.
Oh,
and a great save. That's a save there, Ron. That's a save.
Yeah, I think the front tires are probably square as a result, but well held, well played there. That was some pretty good stuff there, I gotta be honest. Well done to those racers. Well done to him, heading his way off into the carousel. Keeps it out the inside Armco barrier. No harm, no foul outside some rather sad front tires on the front end of that race car. Coming up to the end of this stage, we will have that yellow coming out on lap 45 once we officially get into the halfway mark with Lee Campbell. That number 60 machine, pretty sure with how dominant he's been in this race, he was put into witness protection. He has not been seen for about 15 years.
Hey, speaking of O'Reilly, I want you to do this for fun here, Ron. Go to O'ReillyAuto.com.
Oh boy.
Search up this part number, 121G.
121G. I am absolutely terrified. If this gives me a computer virus, I will bill you. 121G. A flux. Dude, the flux capacitor.
Even
Get out,
Kermit's excited about it.
Oh boy, that's absolutely fantastic. Oh no!
Oh, no,
Oh,
that's
that was
Travel,
a
I
huge hit
believe.
into the inside wall.
Nope, actually, that's another driver. That was JD Larson, correction.
God, Larson's
Just
all up
lost
and down this
it.
field.
Too much throttle on the exit of turn number 1, and there he goes.
I'll tell you what, that was. I'm pretty sure we got it.
And he just went off track at the bus stop.
Just did. Yeah, so things going from bad to worse for him. Pretty sure we just got as much whiplash as Larson did with this huge hit into the inside wall. I went from a Marvin the Martian voice into screaming about this. Bang, he's going to go. You know, Graham Rahal did something very similar to that in an IndyCar race. Thankfully, though, these next-gen cars made out of solid 100% pure tungsten hits that wall a ton and is still going out there on the racetrack. Granted, his car is probably driving like a trash bag full of mango pulp, sliding down a flight of stairs, but, you know.
He just mowed Don Burlew's lawn there as well for a little bit. So JD pitting right now at the moment. 4 laps to go in the stage for Lee Campbell. So we keep in mind on JD still with a quick repair. Would not be surprised if he took it here. Remember, keep in mind, pits do close next lap. Yep, he does take that quick repair. Right now, it still continues to be Lee Campbell with a 19-second lead, and once we get to this halfway yellow, this will give everyone a chance to reset. Make sure their mind resets. Make sure they know where to run when they're better. We'll see how this can help drivers like maybe Cole Larson, Troy Thomas, and heck, even Dale Pro Cup Valaket, who's had some moments in this race tonight. 6th right now at the moment. 52 seconds behind Lee Campbell. I think this is going to be the big help for the driver, the number 9, to get back into this battle.
Yeah, I think that may be a big assistance. We're going to see this race have a big old reset go on for it once we get to the end of this first half and get that yellow coming out. Again, full course yellow is disabled in this race, so any sort of incident that may go on out there on the track will not result in a caution flag coming out. Currently have a solid 5 retirees who could really make that 6th. Alex Teft currently 7 laps down. These drivers do have some fast repairs allotted to them here tonight. Only 1 though, and with some engine damage being done, I think Alex Teft has now decided to call it a day. Right as I was saying that, he has left the session. You know, I am not a mechanic, but I'm pretty sure it takes a little bit longer than a halfway mark of a NASCAR race here at the Glen to fully repair a damage on a Cup car.
So pits will be closed next time by here with... Actually, no, pits are closed. Lee Campbell just made his way off of turn 1. Looking on JD Larson, who is already a couple laps down. No close battles we're watching on the track right now. Everyone's all spread apart. But obviously we'll see a bunch of that when we come to green for the second half of the race.
Looking at this field, heading their way all through the bus stop. You know, I will say, and you know, this is a bar so low, I'm pretty sure a tardigrade would bump its head on it, but it's been a little while since we saw a moment heading off through the bus stop chicane. It's been a couple of laps since we saw a driver hit the curb, bounce around, and here comes a potential overtake here, heading down into turn at number 6. That's going to be a swapperoo of spots out there on the road. That's Lee Campbell, though, your race leader, holding on to a rather comfortable gap and dealing with that lap car right there of Larson. Gets his his way off through there. May have another swapperoo once again. Larson giving Lee Campbell a little bit of worry as he's now gotten the white flag here in this first half of the race. A white flag in this first stage, and it looks like Lee Campbell, unless he has a falling anvil crash down on his head with the force of a nuclear bomb, I think that 15-second gap will be enough for him.
Yeah, Lee Campbell, a great race for him so far at the moment. He's led all 44 laps in this one. Hey, Ron, why do iRacing drivers love Watkins Glen? Because it's the only place they can legally take the bus stop here at 120 miles an hour.
I think you can also drive that fast in Montana. Yeah, actually, the state motto, funnily enough, for Montana is, Montana, how fast can you drive? Same goes for New Jersey as well, fun fact.
Probably.
As a Philadelphia native, whenever I see a Jersey tag, I get sent into fight or flight. Actually, no, flight or flight. I either want to get away or I want to get the hell away.
All right, here comes Lee Campbell off the final corner here. $50 richer as we come into the halfway break. Campbell's dominated this one so far. 16 seconds the gap on Cole Larson. And Campbell, your leader at halfway. We'll see the caution flag fly here in just a moment by Race Control. I think they're going to try and get the top 10. Or maybe at least the top 6 just to cross the start-finish line before we go to yellow.
I think we've got a humdinger in the other YouTube chat from a user Ramar Ron, which is my dad. Why did the wife stop her husband from using his sim rig? He was learning how to handle forced feedback.
Oh boy.
Oh, thank you, Dad. He refers
That's
to them
a legit
as
dad
Sims
joke.
rigs. Yeah,
that's a legit
that
dad
is an
joke.
actual dad joke. Thank you, Dad, for that. Thank you very much, Dad. I may have to go down and shake his hand during this yellow. Actually, I gotta wonder, will we have a stage yellow? Because they usually throw the yellow when the 10th place car crosses a line. The 10th place car of Alex Teft is currently out of the race.
We'll double check to confirm things here. There's the
there we
caution
go.
flag. So that caution
I think
flag
it may
waves.
have actually been the end of lap 45, not the start of it.
So Lee Campbell, your race leader. Cole Larson in second. Truth Hoke third. Andrew Teft fourth. Troy Thomas fifth. Dale Prokop Valakat sixth. JD Larson in seventh. Kirby Wainscott in eighth. Corey Crowell ninth. And Alex Teft rounds out the top 10. I tell you, let's do this. Let's step aside here and take a commercial break. When we come back, the start of the second half, you're watching live coverage of the Racers Elite Special on Maconi Entertainment.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Here at Watkins Glen, one lap until we take the green flag here for the beginning of stage number 2. Watkins Glen in the Finger Lakes region, rolling hills, vineyards, and a loyal motorsports fan base that normally sells out. It's hosted NASCAR since 1986 full-time. First race, though, in the late 50s. Formula One also ran the U.S. Grand Prix from 1961 to 1980. Jackie Stewart, Niki Lauda, James Hunt, bunch of the many that raced here, and now they decided, they're too popular, so they have to go to the major cities instead of a small town. Tony Stewart, 5 Glen victories. Marcus Ambrose, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, each with 2. And if you've never been to Watkins Glen International, you gotta go camping there. It's one of the best camping crowds, in my opinion, all year long.
And I was gonna say, I nearly ended up racing around Watkins Glen. A little bit farther up, I think it's the Seneca Army Depot. There was a big SCCA event there. I nearly ended up running there a couple of years ago. I didn't, though. But I'd love to come to Watkins Glen, probably for the 6 hour for the IMSA race. That feels like a fun event to be a part of.
This track at night. Obviously, this track doesn't have lights, but this track at night, like when IMSA ran here, under the lights in the end, absolutely beautiful. It is, in my opinion, it's more beautiful at night than it is of the day. So, anyway, Andrew Tuft stayed out, restarts as the leader. Lee Campbell to his outside, who's dominated this race. You've got Cole Larson, Troy Thomas, row 2, J.D. Larson, Dale Prokop, Valaket, row 3, and Truth Hulk rounds out the field of 7 on the lead lap. We've got 9 drivers remaining on the track, coming back to the green flag. 50 laps complete, 40 to go at the Glen. Cole Larson off the curb there, off of turn 1, and Lee Campbell did not want that, losing the spot to Larson, and Tuft trying to open up the daylight here. On the drivers with the fresher tires, side by side, Thomas and Prokop Valaket for the 4th spot on the racetrack. Oh, there goes Larson off of the S's. Cold tires haven't been a factor.
Oh, yo, boy, that could have ended in tears with those drivers coming barreling in. Cole Larson, he's going to have to tow back to pit lane as a result of that big hit for him heading down the back straightaway. We're seeing these racers lose it heading off through turn number 4. A little bit surprising. I mean, these racers usually have to salt the wheel a bit to keep it going in a straight line heading off to that part of the track, but seeing it to a slightly higher degree, and it's not like the track conditions are cool either here, Marty. I mean, we're currently looking at 99 degrees Fahrenheit for the track temperature, so rather surprising to see multiple moments of racers losing it through 4.
And just like the opening lap of this race, Cole Larson spins again. I don't know if cold tires have been an issue or just a lot of understeer or whatnot. It's just not worked out for him, and Larson forced to tow. Here's a look at what happened coming out of the S's.
Was it the curb there? I mean, he hit that and then started to get a little
too
bit
much
wiggly.
throttle. That was too much throttle coming out. That or cold tires.
I have to think it had to have been a mix of all 3 there. I mean, that curve, a little bit squirrely, got a little bit sideways coming out of there, and then just fully looped it. I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the span of just a couple of moments. I will say Kirby Wainscott, he's also gotten struck by a falling anvil. Let's see what happens to the number 10 here.
Wainscott's had issues all night long. I think he was just coming down pit road, yeah. So, Campbell, meanwhile, is caught up to Tuft. Tires have come to light for the 60. Battle for the lead on here at the Glen.
Tuft has a bit of an uphill battle to try and hold on to this race lead. He's on old tires. Lee Campbell, on the other hand, he's got some fresh Goodyears underneath that number 10 machine. Hey, that number 60 car in real life has been rather quick, hasn't gone through victory lane. Let's see if this number 60 here in iRacing will be able to get the job done here at the Glen. About 6.5 tenths, nearly 7 tenths of a second between these two as they head their way up the hill. Now back down and heading their way on the backstretch.
Keep an eye on the driver in 4th, though. He's a couple seconds behind Dale Prokop Valaket. quickest lap of the race at a 1:11:53 at the moment. So that halfway yellow was just what the doctor ordered there, but still watching this race for the lead. Campbell is just going to take his time here, just has to be patient basically at the moment.
Yeah, that is the main thing that Lee Campbell needs to keep in mind. Remain patient. We've got a lot of time left to go here in this 90-lap long race. Already 53, coming to 54 laps into it. But Campbell, he has the time. Teft, he has to come down pit lane. I mean, the tires are going to be worn down virtually to the canvas if he tries to hold on to it all the way through to the end of this race. So Lee Campbell just needs to remain close. He needs to think, you know what? There's a lot of time left. There's a lot of things that can happen between now and the end. We'll have to have pit stops for all these racers. And that's a spin for Thomas right after setting the 5th lap of the race.
Just touched the tire barrier, no issue there. That was a 1:11:08 he just hit. And with the way this track temp starting to go down just a little bit, would not be surprised if maybe we saw some lap times in the 110 club. And yeah, too much curb there through turn 1. There he goes. Should mention as well, we just had a moment too with JD Larson in the 18. It was just a couple seconds ago. We'll see if any of our cameras caught that. But still watching this race for the top spot. Teft over Campbell at the moment.
Yeah, take a look at the replay to see a moment involving JD Larson. This is heading down into turn number 1. What happened to the number 18 machine? It just misses the apex a little bit bad there. There's a 3. No! Oh, what in the world? He hit the curb. Following the 3 off the track. A sympathy spin there. A huge hit to the inside wall for JD Larson. That may take him out of contention.
Yeah, I was just trying to avoid the 3, and again, too much curbing, and just lost it, so... Again, all eyes still in the battle there. Campbell with a moment off of turn 4 in the S's. That car nearly went sideways. Watkins Glen, fun fact about them as well. You know, we always say it's Sonoma. They're known for being wine country. The same is said for Watkins Glen as well. It's surrounded by wineries. So, in fact, I believe they've hosted a wine festival too in the past. So, never bad to combine a race with local food and drink. In fact, Watkins Glen this year as well, outside of the wine, they just opened up a trackside convenience store, 24/7 convenience store. Ron, I don't know if you've ever heard of these. Jeremy most likely knows. It's like a Sheetz or a Wawa, but in New York, it's called Dandy. In fact, they sponsor the Sprint Car Series I work for, and their pizza is delicious.
You know, I have, of course, being a patron of the city of Philadelphia, someone who's lived here for his entire life, I've been to a Wawa on probably hundreds of occasions. I've also been to a Sheetz on quite a couple of occasions, traveling out a little bit farther west here in the state, either going out to Lincoln, Nebraska for the big SCCA Solo Nationals that I used to run in, or just going out to some other events at their a little bit farther west. Going to Sheetz, I absolutely love that place. Sheetz, if anyone ever gets the opportunity to go there, they have these cheesy bacon like tater tot sticks.
Those are good.
Yeah, those are absolutely fantastic. I mean, if I had those and a Red Bull and tried to run a marathon, I'm pretty sure I would not live to tell the tale. But you know, those are tasty. If I had a last meal, that would probably be up there on the list because those things are just absolutely divine. I will say my only complaint about Sheetz is the fact that their milkshakes have ice in them. Why?
You know, when Tyler Reddick was sponsored by Sheetz, when he was with Richard Childress Racing, I actually asked him what his favorite thing is there because I'm a huge Sheetz fan, and he told me he liked the coffee. And my dad, when we went for Sheetz, he would always get a cup of coffee because of all the traveling we had to do, and it was delicious there.
I think the last Sheetz I've been in, I went about 2 years in a row. It was in June of 2024 and then June of 2023 when I went into the exact same sheets right by Hershey, Pennsylvania, 2 times in a row.
Here goes Campbell.
Yeah, I think this may be the opportunity that Campbell is going to look for. Down the inside into turn number 6. He's going for it. That's a move for the race lead from Lee Campbell and Andrew Teft, and Teft's going to back out of it.
So Lee Campbell, your new race leader here as we complete lap 57.
That was easy.
There we go, and that was a very easy overtake. I think Andrew Teft decided to take the high road on all of it, heading down into the turn. Oh, getting me a nice little taste of the double hearing there. Nothing terrifies me more than the sound of my own voice, but I will say Lee Campbell, with that moment, heading down in there, works out rather smooth for him. A nice overtake, a smooth one to be sure, and pretty convincing stuff heading down in there. I think Andrew Teft said, you know what? There's not a lot in it for me to just throw caution to the wind and really start to squabble up. I think he's decided, you know what? I'm happy with the spot I'm running in. It's still P2. He'll take that any day of the week instead of a wrecked race car.
I just saw that Howie as a Brit loves Wawa. Look, Wawa's got good subs, but like for customization, you gotta go with Sheets all the way. Hey, speaking of which, why did the sandwich break up with Sheets?
Why?
It couldn't handle the gas.
That's all I have to respond to that. I wonder, actually, I'm going to use all of my oxygen supply to try and blow into this thing as quickly as loud as I can. I'm going to point away from the microphone just because this is a broadcaster sensitive microphone. Check 1, 2. So this may get picked up either way. So bombs away. There we go. That sounded kind of cool. The power of 1,000 suns going into that. That sounded. I'm not really sure the best way to describe that. That sounded like a drill on Red Bull. As if you want funnily enough, we still got a race going on.
So if you want a random fact too about this racetrack, I think MRN talked about this. There was a Watkins Glen International was doing some renovating throughout the mid-2010s. They've been doing this for many years, and I think it was 2015. They found an old car for the 1970s, and if you remember as well, this track hosted a notable concert in the 1970s. Had the Grateful Dead a part of it. Hundreds of thousands of people came on out. It was just a huge crowd, and that car was basically abandoned from the sounds of it after that concert. So, yeah, it was wild.
I'm sorry, I was getting some bad flashbacks there about the pit that they used to have here at Watkins Glen. Just heard. So my dad, who's still tuning into this broadcast, and the reason why I know is because I heard through the door in my studio, aka my bedroom, all the way downstairs, I could hear the moment of me blowing into the whistle being played down there. So that, sorry, that kind of threw me off my game a little bit. But yeah, this track, it used to get really wild. You know, I think I'm probably going to race this tomorrow here on Maconi Entertainment when we bring you coverage of the Formula 1600 Strength of Field race this upcoming Monday at 3:45 p.m. Eastern Time. VIR was abandoned from the 70s all the way up until the year 2000 when they had to massively renovate the place. And one of the reasons why that was the case is because of wild race fans around these racetracks back in the 60s and early 70s that were just creating chaos. Part of the reason why F1 left Watkins Glen back in the 70s was because the race fans were getting rather wild. I think I remember the story of them burning a bus on the infield of the track. I'll have to go in. I think they either burned the bus or they flipped it onto its side. Either way, F1 saw that and was like, oh, we need to be calm and sophisticated. So they decided to go off to the most sophisticated city in the world, that being Detroit.
I tell you what, let's back to the racing. Andrew Teft, give him credit here. Even with the worn tires, he's done a great job staying behind on Lee Campbell at just about a second or so. Teft, you would think at this point that Campbell would be pulling away, but no, Teft's staying right there. But now look who's behind. Dale Prokop Valakat, who has had an eventful race so far. This is basically for Lee Campbell, in my opinion tonight, this is basically going to be boss mode for Campbell if he can beat Prokop Valakat. Remember, Dale's got a lap of fresher tires. Here goes Teft in. Gonna play the undercut roll, and that's gonna give Prokop Valakat the spot, and now he can try and set up Lee Campbell here.
Now
the interesting... Yep, and now Campbell, excuse me, not Campbell, Teft can go the distance, so he's gonna try and set up a huge undercut possibly. It would be 14 laps of fresher tires. I tell you what here, guys. I would not be surprised if Teft plays this. If this strategy could help Teft here. I don't know. We'll just have to see what kind of speed that Teft would have compared to Campbell and Valakat.
Yeah, if it works out, that would be a very good result. We'll just have to wait and see, though. So a lot of time left to play for here today. 29 laps left on the board, coming to 28 this time by for Lee Campbell. But if he can make this work, that would be very, very good. That 9 car, he's on the comeback tour after starting this race in the pits, after starting from the pole. He really had to just keep with it during the first stint, and now here in the second stage, trying to take it easy. That's in the same part of the track that he lost it and smacked the wall a little bit earlier on. A moment for the 9 car would spell ending to his race today. So Dale Prokop needs to take it a little bit easy as he still tries to chase down that number 60 of Lee Campbell, heading his way down into turn number 1.
Right, Thomas in the 3. JD Larson, the 18. This is for 5th on the track. Thomas taking her easy. Remember, he's got 20 laps of fresher tires compared to JD Larson.
Gotta wonder exactly how it's all gonna work out for these racers. The strategy content now fully getting into its own accord right towards the end of this 90-lap long race. These racers also have to worry about fatigue to a certain extent. You know, they've been racing for quite some time at the line. Lee Campbell completes about an hour and 20 into this race right now. So it has been quite a long time that we have been racing up to this point. So you have to start wondering about the mental side of things, because this is not a track where you can afford to take it easy and let your mind wander. No, you have to stay locked on it throughout the entirety of this race. If you let your brain go a little bit haywire, that's when your race goes haywire.
Absolutely. Thomas set it up here on the back straight. Does he make the move here? Yes, he does. And Larson lets him go. Meanwhile, Campbell's increased the lead here on Prokop Valakat. It's 1.7 seconds, and Campbell picked up 2/10 last time by. Keeping an eye, though, on the driver, that number 98. Let's check his lap times here. Across the line, he's matching the pace of your top 2, but he's not faster just yet.
No, but as it stands at the present moment, waiting for the strategy to really try and work out, see whether or not Andrew Teft will be able to reel in this car or not. I want to go back to something that we have raised quite a lot throughout this show. That is being absolutely terrible jokes. I promised this in the commercial break that we had right during that stage break, so I will break it out. Marty, would you like to hear a joke?
Yeah, sure.
A brand new restaurant in Las Vegas has opened with an odd theme. The restaurant, which forces its patrons to wear pumpkins on their head while being served food from Spanish male sheep, will be owned and operated by Gordon Ramsay.
I like it. I like it.
I like the horn of disappointment there from Howie on the production truck.
All right, you ready for another one?
Alrighty, let's hear it.
Why don't NASCAR drivers get lost at Watkins Glen?
Why?
Because they always stay on track, except in turn 1.
That's actually a pretty good one. We're breaking out some
That's one that grinds. That's one that grinds my gears here. What in the world happened to track limits? I mean, I'm watching a race from 2006 at Watkins Glen. and all the drivers are following the track limits. They're not going off the track. Now everyone's using as much track as possible with that runoff. They should be giving time. They should be giving stop and go penalties for that on the front straightaway. That's just, I don't like it. I do not like it. It ruins the fun for me.
You know, honestly, I gotta say I'm with you there, Marty. I am part of that rare contingent of race fans. I think that a certain amount of track limits should be used. Put sausage curbs on. I usually call them the overcooked sausage curbs because much like an overcooked sausage, you can chip your teeth on them. But I gotta say, I'm part of a small group that likes track limits and also hates it at the same time. Let's not go about the way that Formula One does. Let's just try and add in a little bit of grass, some landmines, potentially just have a giant pit there in the earth, so if you drive off, there you go. You know what grinds my gears, Marty? A blown clutch.
A blown clutch. I know that feeling. It sucks.
Lose some ignition wires back in my karting days.
That is a good one. That is a very good one.
I heard Howie say in the production truck that saw that punchline coming from a mile away. That's usually how my jokes go. If I had $1, I would put it in my wallet.
Under 25 to go here for Lee Campbell. 1.8 seconds to lead. Checking on Tuff's lap times, and Tuff a little bit faster than the race leader. Cut down 2/10. Now it's at 39 seconds between first and fourth. Pit stop, keep in mind here. Pit stop at Watkins Glen for your top two drivers last time by when they were on pit road, about 47 seconds. So that's something to keep an eye on. Truth Hoke now on pit road in the 55. So it seems like this race is going to come down to the three drivers. The 60 of Campbell, the 9 of Prokop Valakat, and the 98 of Tuft.
So it looks like the race is very much so still on. Got to worry about the strategy. Got to be a slow burner when it comes to that, as here comes that 55 of Truth Hook, making that call to come down pit lane in that AC Delco number 55 machine. Up on the jacks, he's going to go, getting a good, nice full tank of Sunoco fuel, and some brand new Goodyear Eagles on that car. He's going to be out and away, going to find himself not inside the top 5 as Shady Larson going to blow his doors off still out there on the racetrack. Through he goes into P number 5. The only cars on the lead lap right now are your top 6 competitors. Corey Crowell ran into some difficulties along with Kirby Wainscott, and Cole Larson is out of this race. One of the many other retirements we've had thus far in this race. We started off with 16 starters that we had now. We have 8 cars out there on the racetrack and 6 on the lead lap. Watkins Glen proving to be a bit of a race of attrition here, Marty.
Watkins Glen always is on iRacing. It's a very tough track.
Truly is. I think this track, we had to list sports car tracks on iRacing and in the world of American motorsports. I'd say Watkins Glen still has that old school feel. You know, this is a track that it has undergone many safety evolutions over the years, but you've still got the metal Armco barriers around this track. Part of the reason why I don't think IndyCar has any plans of returning here. That and some of the attendance a little bit earlier on in the decade. That's a problem that IndyCar has. The tracks that they can race on outside of the ones that they currently do are the NASCAR ones.
Pro Cup Valakat comes in for the fresher rubber, so don't know if Andrew Tuft wanted to really see that if he wants to battle for the win.
Sure if that's exactly to plan there, but the number 9 car trundling his way down pit lane in that Budweiser car. The point I was going to raise before we saw this car come down pit lane was talking about how IndyCar's issue is that the only tracks they can run on outside of the ones they currently race on are NASCAR-owned tracks. The NASCAR-owned tracks not going to promote the IndyCar race at all, so part of the reason why we haven't seen no tires on that number 9 car. An interesting call from Prokop.
I don't know if that's what you really want, if you're Tuft there or not. Let's check where the 98 is. He's entering turn 1 right now, and based off the tire data we've got, Tuft and Prokop Valakat were basically matching lap times altogether.
So I gotta wonder exactly how that's all going to work out. We're going to have not really worry about that, but I think we do have to, Marty. Tire management. Will we see tire management play a huge role in this finish with drivers on old rubber? I'm sure we probably will.
Well, now I wonder what Lee Campbell's going to do. He's aware Pro Comp Cat is pitted. He's got 31 seconds on him. And should Campbell go for fuel only, there could be the possibility we have a new leader in this race. We'll just have to see what happens.
Truth currently battling to get his way back up into the top 5. We saw him come into the pits not too terribly long ago. JD Larson, one of those cars that blew his doors off as he was stopped there in pit lane. And let's see how it's all going to work out in this battle for P5. About a half a second separate these cars as they head their way down into the carousel. Looking pretty smooth as it stands right now for Truth Hook. He just needs to keep that car on the road, keep it in a straight line. JD Larson, looks like there's still some damage on that car as well, mainly to the right-hand side of that front bumper. Looks like Truth Hook will look for it down into turn number 6. Gonna get a bit of a wiggle on heading all through there. Haven't seen a moment heading out of turn number 6 for a decent time in this race. Knowing my luck, though, I probably just jinx as they're oh so close to contact through 7.
Hook's got the fresher tires here, so trying to use that to his advantage here with 20 laps to go in this one. Hook playing it safe, though. I'm surprised he doesn't go for the move there in the 90. We'll see if Hope can round out the top 5. There he goes into the S's. It's tough to go side by side here. Oh, JD's in the wall.
Big hit, side slapper hit into the wall. That's probably going to ruin his car, ruin his race. That number 18 of Larson certainly going to be feeling the burn as a result of all that. That was a bizarre incident as well, Marty. I think it just got caught up in the dust and the marbles heading all through there, just went straight into the barrier.
Most likely, but it's, again, very tough to go side by side in the S's, and a crash in the S's, and thank the heavens we haven't seen this tonight, but it's one of the most dangerous spots to have a crash from because it is very tight in there.
You know, whenever I think of a crash heading off through the S, it reminds me of the time that I was in race control for a rather big road racing series here on the iRacing platform, and I think we had a 14-car pileup heading all through the S's on lap 1. I had to bring out a full course yellow, and I was the assistant race controller at that point. I would basically give my opinions, write up the reports, and issue out some penalty calls from now and then. But the race director, right alongside me in the race control, he issued out a string of words that I don't think I can repeat here on Maconi Entertainment, but really tells you the value of a clean run heading all through the S's.
So right now the gap between Campbell and Pro Cop Valley Cat, 31 seconds. Pro Cop Valley Cat on pit road for 38. So the 9 could have a chance to jump and take the lead here in at this moment. However, Pro Cop Valley Cat lost about a half second last time by compared to the leader Lee Campbell. Looking on Andrew Teft in 3rd. Who pit for 4 tires and fuel, matching the pace of the second place car, but not the first place driver, Lee Campbell, with 18 laps to go when we come across the line.
Yeah, so 18 laps left to go here at Watkins Glen, and it's starting to get intense. Lee Campbell holding on to that race lead still. We'll have to see him come down pit lane in the not too far off future, and when he does, how is things going to work out here today? Lee Campbell held on to the dominant race lead in the early stages. Let's see if he can finish the deal off and get the checkered flag led at the halfway mark. Let's see if he leads at the full mark. I saw a little bit of smoke as we saw this driver, the number 99 of Andrew Teft, head his way off into the carousel. Not exactly sure what the deal was for sure. May have seen somebody potentially have a half spin a little bit farther up the road as JD Larson has made that call to come down pit lane in the 18 machine.
Yeah, Larson, what's been a rough and tough day, just like what a lot of drivers have been going through. Likely a 4th tire pit stop and fuel, and that appears to be the case.
On the jacks, he is going to go spinning it around. Here's the 18. So thankfully for him, he did have one more faster pair in his repertoire. That's the first time I've ever said that on the air. But the other repertoire still held that one faster pair. You can get that car back out there on the racetrack in the not too far off future. Still running in P6. We'll have to hope for a miracle to make up some more spots between now and the end of this race. So we jump back to Lee Campbell in that red, white, and blue wheel in number 60 machine. Campbell now the only driver driver on track to not have a fast repair. That's a very good stat, Howie. Thank you very much for that.
Also, don't forget as well, you see the Delta. Pro Cup Valley Cat starting to pick the pace up in that number 9. That's what the 9 car needs. And don't forget, later tonight we'll be back at Watkins Glen on Maconi Entertainment for door-to-door Cup Series action. Watch at 8 o'clock right here on your home for iRacing, Maconi Entertainment.
Oh no. I'm getting bad flashbacks here. Very good view of the driver.
Right on board to 60.
I thought we were going to take a look at these driver skincare routines. Those who tuned into Maconi Entertainment very, very earlier on this year. Our boss, Mr. Jeff Maconi, getting the opportunity to run some ARCA machinery in real life, and he had his own little series, Jeff Maconi's Boot Camp, running some ARCA cars at Nashville for like a 5-6 week streak a little bit earlier on this year, back in the spring. And I was on the call for most of those, and Howie was in the production truck. And at one point, I forget what race it was during that mini-series, we got a look at some of these drivers' skincare routines. We focused so strongly into them that we could see the pores of these racers, and ever since then, I haven't really been able to sleep well. We also had a good moment with our Maconi Entertainment colleague, Mr. Kirk Mills, that I think ended up on the Maconi Entertainment socials, of us looking at some of the advertising boards around the track. We zoomed in on a sign that said mulch, and it divulged into him and I screaming into our microphones as loud as we could, mulch!
Mulch!
We like to have a good time here at Maconi Entertainment.
Hey, hey, Ron. Why the gardener quit his job at the mulch yard?
Why did he quit?
Because it was just too much to handle.
That was easy.
$13 laps to go as Lee Campbell continues to lead by 30 seconds on Dale Pro Cop Valley Cat, Mary Scala, Ron Mons, and Howie Burrows with you here in the booth. Just had an issue while we were under a quick break. Corey Crowell with a spin coming out of turn 6. Crowell all alone in car number 20. Ooh, just had a moment in the S's, by the way. Lee Campbell just caught the wall. A rare mistake by him as you watch Crowell in the 20 spin around. Then a little bit too much on the gas and the tire barrels. But yeah, Lee Campbell. This is just after he just caught. No, this was up in the S's when he hit the wall.
So clean run through the carousel.
Let's take a ride on board here. Also, we caught that one there going to 6. So I don't know if the tires are starting to lose it, but the lead has dropped down to 27 seconds. This is it right here.
Whoa, Jackson! I think
if we
that
can
could have been
rewind that,
so much worse for him.
Watch the second part here of the S's. He's gonna touch the no. Oh, he just got really sideways on the throttle there, trying to get back on it.
And let's take a look at this from his perspective, right on board with Lee Campbell's. He heads his way, he crests the hill, the car gets light, and yeah, that's exactly what happened. As soon as that weight transfer goes on, around he goes. Very lucky that he didn't hit that barrier with even more force. That could have been a game ender for the dominant racer thus far here tonight. I say tonight, it's 12:45 in the afternoon for crying out loud. But 12 laps left to go here, and that could have been disaster for your race leader.
Yeah, it's 5:44 where Howie lives, so that could be considered tonight.
There you go.
Yes, it is. It is. We just had J.D. Larson crash as well. That is out of the bus stop. He's able to get things going in front of Dale Prokop-Valakat, who's able to make the pass. We just had a crash from Troy Thomas as well, and he's going to be done for the day. That's Larson crashing out of the bus stop, but we had another big impact with Thomas in the 3. Yeah, and we're getting reports that Thomas with a meatball, that'll likely end his day. Watch this coming out of turn 1. Hard in the tire barrels or in the guardrail. Oh, no. Oh. Odd angle and a hard crash.
And pop goes the engine there as well. You can see the smoke billowing as we take a look at this moment. Thomas clean through the turn for now, hits that curb on the exit, gets high centered there, hit the floor, loses all the downforce, and bang, he goes around into the wall. You can see that suspension already just clattered in that car. The engine was blown up as well, so that is certainly going to be a just about a game ender for that number 3 car of Troy Thomas. Is he still out there on the racetrack? I think he may be, albeit he may be down the pits at the present moment, or just trundling his way back down to pit lane. If he has used his fast repair, which we heard earlier on that the only car who hasn't right now is Lee Campbell.
Campbell.
That is
Campbell
the
in the
case. I think
pits.
Thomas may be done.
All right, this is the money stop here. That could determine who wins this race. Prokop-Valakat in second, about 27 seconds behind. Let's pull up a track map here to show you where Prokop-Valakat is. He just entered turn number 6. And it's a slow, bittery 40 miles an hour down pit road. It's got to be fuel only here for Prokop-Valakat.
Yeah, this has
And that's
got to
the
be
case.
that call. Yeah,
And the 9 car is just taking the lead.
Yeah, 9 car into the race lead. Lee Campbell now going to have to chase. I wonder what the tire situation is for the 60 compared to the 9. I don't remember seeing that 9 come in for tires, so it's
the
just
same.
fuel only.
It's the same
sort of deal.
So this would be right now Prokop-Valakat's race to lose at the moment, unless he makes a mistake, which he hasn't made a lot of in this one so far. Remember, Prokop-Valakat did not take the green flag. He started from the pits. And then I think he had another moment in this race that put him near the back. But he has climbed his way up to the top of the mountain. And he could be 9 laps away from victory.
And if you can get it done, that would be a fantastic result. Going from the back to the front.
Campbell
No!
crashed.
Campbell!
Campbell's
Gonna hit
crashed.
the wall.
And that may just cost him second. Here comes Andrew Teft. Yeah, that right front shows. That right front's toast. He's beached it.
Yeah, he's going to have to go through the gravel. Even if he can make it through pit lane, serve that faster pair, you're probably going to look at Lee Campbell, the dominant racer here today, probably just barely finishing inside the top 5. Let's take a look at this. He lost it over the bump. Yeah, lost it, hit the curb, and as he went off the track, that car bouncing around like it was going out of style. That's right on board with Campbell's perspective. You could see the grip disappear, and you could see his chances of a win disappear with it.
It's over for Lee Campbell. And the chances of getting a podium may have gone up in smoke. Campbell,
they're dashed.
Still with the quick repair, though. If he just uses that and gets on the racetrack, he may have a chance for third. This is the car behind Truth Hoke coming out of turn 6 right now.
And there he is, stopped in the pit
Campbell,
stall, not really moving. No fast. It doesn't look like he's taking it.
I don't think he has a fast
today.
You know what? I think he may have used...
Maybe. Oh, I gotta wonder.
I wonder if he forgot to check, if he forgot to uncheck it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because we saw him slap the wall right towards the end of that stint that he just ended, and he came down pit lane. I wonder if he accidentally took that fast repair, either accidentally or intentionally, and he may not have that fast repair anymore if that is the case. Heartbreaker for Lee Campbell. I think J.D. Larson is still one lap down to Campbell, probably going to go past, because, I mean, there would be no reason for him to spend 50 seconds down pit lane and rejoin this race. Chances are, Lee Campbell, he may be done for. That may be a solid P3 for Truth Hope. Wasn't expecting it. We weren't expecting it. He probably wasn't expecting it. I don't think Lee Campbell will be able to be... You will be inconsolable after this race. He's very happy about the fact that he got that stage 1 win, so he's going to walk away not completely empty-handed, but either way, that's still a huge kick in the shins.
Dominant car of the day is wrecked. And Dale Prokop Valakat, quickest in qualifying, is 7 laps away from taking the checkers here, and this Watkins Glen special would take home the $100. 50 still to Lee Campbell for leading at the halfway point. But Dale Prokop Valakat, as long as he has no mistakes, he leads by 8 seconds on Andrew Teft. Looking real good to get that victory today. Yeah, so talk about a comeback tour. It's been a wacky race up to this point. Started from the pits after not realizing that the start was coming up when it did. It's worked out well for him, though. Now running in the lead with an 8.2 second gap to this man, Andrew Teft, who I thought was just going to smack the Armco as he headed his way up through the S's down into turn number 4. These racers playing with fire. Lee Campbell still down pit lane. I'm going to look to see whether or not he's just decided to completely call it a day here. I am sure he is going to be livid with himself. An easy mistake to make, to be sure, but the worst time to have a crash happen. You were in the chase down. It would have been a tough hill to climb if he wanted to get that win, but any sort of chance he had now completely gone. 7 laps to go, coming to 6 this time by for Dale Prokop. And unless Andrew Teft can reel him in at a rate of knots and turn on the nitrous in that car, looks like it's going to be the 9 with the P1 today. 6 laps remaining. Don't forget more coverage at Watkins Glen tonight at 8 o'clock. Door-to-door Cup Series at the Glen. You have Ron and Jeremy and Christian working the broadcast for that right here on Maconi Entertainment. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to catch more, and make sure whenever we go live, turn on those notifications. I gotta say, at the end of this race, one driver who is going to be probably wondering how differently things could have gone is this man, Andrew Teft. We saw him not have a very clean run throughout the first half of the race, had his own fair share of falling anvils come down to strike him on the head, but as it stands currently, he has a 7.3 second gap to himself and Dale Prokop. Running in P2 right now is Andrew Teft. If he had a cleaner first half of the race, I gotta wonder how things would have shaken out here for him in the second. Yeah, things would have likely looked different. 5 laps of racing to go here at the Glen for Dale Prokop Valakat. And I remember when Casey Kane drove the Budweiser number 9 from 2008 to 2007. Dale Jr. wasn't running the 8, so what they do? Go one up and go to number 9. I miss Budweiser. I mean, Anheuser-Busch is still in the sport as Busch, but I do miss when Budweiser was a part of it. The Bud Polaroid, the Budweiser car, and just so much more.
I think I may have to go into my archive of various diecasts that I have. I may end up having an old Budweiser car in my collection. I know one that's definitely an oddball, and I may have to post a photo of it in our small little booth chat here. It's of Michael Waltrip back when he was running with the Wood Brothers. I think there's an old Star Wars car that I have, completely silver. I think it's a 124 scale diecast that also functions as a piggy bank. You can put change in it. So that's one of my odder collections for my personal diecast collection. I haven't gotten one in quite some time, but one of my most valued is actually on the desk with me, right by the connection point with my mic stand. It's Felix Rosenquist's diecast car from his last year at Chip Ganassi Racing when he was in the 10 car back in 2020. I remember when it was announced that Felix Rosenquist was leaving for McLaren and getting replaced by an at the time rookie for Dale Coyne. I was like, who's this Alex Palou guy? He's never going to do anything that Felix couldn't to Chip Ganassi equipment.
Yeah, I remember the first year when Lionel was put the plastic stuff on the bottom of the alcohol or energy drink like cars, and I think that was 2011. And so I bought the Kevin Harvick Budweiser diecast. I remember beforehand it was the drivers' logos from Casey Kane's logo, the DEI, the Dale Jr. logo for the Budweiser car, and just so much more to that. So.
Gotta love the very interesting history of NASCAR, just racing sponsorships, period. That is a rabbit hole of every saw one. I thought we were going to see that one car back it into the wall, heading through the final turn. We'll say Andrew Teft is closing in now, 4.8 seconds a gap. I think that's a mix of Dale Prokop taking it easy. Now with 4 laps left to go, make that 3 laps left to go here at Watkins Glen. Don't think he'll have enough time, Will Teft, to really reel in that number 9 machine. He is still taking it a bit on the aggressive end. Thought he clipped the grass, heading down through the braking zone into the final corner, but still holding on to the race lead, now 5 seconds a gap. I think that is just comfortable enough for Dale Prokop Valiquette to hold on to the race lead, unless Andrew Teft really has a killer final couple of laps and that number 9 machine has some sort of off-track encounter. I think it's looking good for him.
It's looking good for Prokop Valiquette indeed. Teft last time by was a second and 1.2 seconds better than Prokop Valiquette, but it's not going to be enough, without question. And Prokop Valiquette, and same with Andrew Teft, they have driven phenomenally well. In fact, they just put Truth Hoke in the 55 a lap down, so there'll only be 2 drivers that finish on the lead lap by the time this race ends. So 2 sticks up in the air this time by, 2 laps to go here at Watkins Glen.
And 2 laps left just to keep it clean for that number 9 machine. Right as I said that Andrew Teft was reeling it in, not really saying a good lap this time by. We're able to see the difference right about now as he comes across the line. Yeah, losing out on a decent amount of time. I think he lost it all down into turn number 1. May have had a moment himself, but Andrew Teft on track for a P2. Truth Hope going to be very happy about a podium at the end of this race. Who else is going to be there at the very end? I don't think Lee Campbell has rejoined the racetrack. How many cars do we have out there on the racetrack as it stands right now?
We have got 6.
6?
Yeah, 6 drivers left on the track, so
race of attrition for sure here at the Glen. That is 10 drivers DNFing in this race. A very tricky one, this. You think, okay, it's only about 2.5 miles long with 7 turns. It may not be that tricky. Now, Watkins Glen in all of its configurations can be a bit of a quiet menace, a silent killer, and that's certainly been the case here. But hey, there's the number 9. That's Dale Prokop Valiquette heading his way off through the final few corners for the second to last time in this race, on track for a rather convincing win at the end of it all.
yeah, white flag waves here. 1 lap to go for Dale Prokop Valiquette in the Budweiser number 9. It's been an eventful day for the number 9 of Prokop Valiquette. Was caught sleeping when it came to gridding. Because of that, had to start for the pit lane, and luckily when it comes to pit road at Watkins Glen. You don't lose too much time because of it. Was in the top 5, top 6 by the time we got to the halfway break, and that is what helped out Dale for sure, because was able to be back up there with the race leader. And after we had our round of green flag pit stops, Pro Cop Valakat cycled through as the race leader after pitting on lap 61 for fuel only. Out of the outer section for the final time here at the twists and turns of the Glen. Just has 2 90-degree corners to go, and he is free to the checkered flag. Perhaps the fastest car of the race. He didn't lead the most laps, but he was sure the fastest through turn number 7. Dale Pro Cop Valakat, the checkered flag, $100 richer. He wins the Racers Elite Special at Watkins Glen. Andrew Tuft, a phenomenal drive to finish in the 2nd spot. Truth Hoke will finish 3rd, JD Larson 4th, and Corey Crowell the top 5.
And what a drive from Dale Pro Cop Valakat at the end of this race. I think he's going to give us a nice little bit of donuts heading down into turn number 1. Has certainly earned the right to do that after coming from behind. Started at the back, started down in pit lane for that matter. We thought that his race was maybe going to be done. Then things went from bad to worse with wall contact that ripped off that right front wheel, but now he's celebrating with some burnouts. He scrapes the tire barriers there on the outside, but he doesn't have to matter. He's got the checkered flag, he's got the money, and he's got the victory here today at Watkins Glen.
Still John Force there for a moment before he starts lining them up, doing circles around turn number 1. With that, we'll step aside, take a quick break. We'll talk to your top 3 in just a moment. It's the Racers Elite Special on Maconi Entertainment. Dale Pro Cop Valakat celebrates here in Victory Lane. In fact, celebrates a 1-2-3 finish for the Misfits team. Pro Cop wins by 4.6 seconds on Andrew Tuft. Truth Hoke finishes 3rd. JD Larson 4th. Corey Crowell 5th. Kirby Wainscott in 6th. Lee Campbell 7th. Troy Thomas 8th. Cole Larson 9th. And Alex Tuft rounds out the top 10.
And looking through the rest of this field, all of them running into some difficulties rather early on. Kensley Smith, class in P11, and Brian LaPratte in 12th. Jesse Fox in 13th. Cody Bonley in P number 14. And Pete Pellini with a rather early bit of difficulty. He is class in P15 at the very end of this 90-lap long race here at Watkins Glen. But Dale Pro Cop Valakat, your race winner at the end of the day. Marty, I'll let you get the post-race interviews started. I'll ask who you want to have a chat with first.
Yeah, let's begin with our race winner, Dale Pro Cop Valakat, celebrating this one here tonight. Dale, safe to say you were the fastest on the track. You didn't lead the most laps though, because it was eventful for you from the drop of the green flag.
Oh, hold on. I went to get water. I didn't think you guys would pull me in right away.
We normally like to do the winner here, but yeah, safe to say that was eventful for you tonight.
Yeah, that was great. There was a big wreck at the beginning, and I thought I was doing good, and I cooked it into second to last corner and hit the wall. Thought my race was over. Used up my fast repair. Went a lap down, and then I just kept fighting, and it all worked out.
Well, you and Lee Campbell were pretty much matching race pace. Take me through the final pit stop. You went for fuel only, then somehow you even gained time on him, where eventually you were actually able to leap him after the pit stop.
Yeah, he we were coming up on lap traffic, and I knew we were gonna have some slow laps, so I decided to pit before we got to it, and I think that was the big difference maker there.
Who do you want to give shout outs to on the run?
Uh, my friends were watching, cheering me on. Gotta give a shout out to them. Shout out to Andrew for putting this series on and letting us have some fun. I don't know if we're the best road course races around, but I think we put on a good show for at least the first 3 quarters there.
Alrighty, we'll let you go. Dale, congratulations on a great win. Well done.
Thanks.
Alright, Dale Prokop, Valakat, your race winner here tonight. Go to our second place finisher, Andrew Teft, who had some pretty good strategy, and he'll be with Ron in just a moment.
And Andrew Teft joining us now in the broadcast booth. Andrew, welcome in P2 at the end of this race here at Watkins Glen. Happy to talk us through it from your side.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going quite all right.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Just needed a little bit more there at the end to catch Dale. Yeah, had a little bit more raw speed than me. I was doing a good job of just keeping it on the track and kind of staying out of trouble, except for the start there. But just need a little bit more raw speed.
Now, I want to ask you about the challenges of this track here at Watkins Glen. I said right towards the end of this race how despite being only 7 turns and a tick under 2.5 miles, this track can be a little bit of a silent menace. So can you kind of explain to us on the broadcast booth and the viewers tuning in at home how challenging it was trying to ace all the corners and run this next-gen car at the limit of control around here?
Yeah, all it takes is to lose focus or get distracted one corner and you're along for the ride. So it takes a lot of concentration, and those curbs are pretty rough, especially early on the fuel runs, because the pressures need to get up a little bit. Until then, it's like driving into a wall or something, so they'll just grab you and yank you off track. And after a few laps, it got more stable and you could use them more, but it wasn't really too tight or too loose or anything. Just I probably could have found some more speed in the braking zones and maybe adjusted my shift pattern somewhere a little bit. I think some of the guys were using first in turn 1. I was staying in second there. And as far as strategy goes, I was close to the lead when I went in, so I don't think I made a mistake there. But just needed to find a few more tenths somewhere.
And thankfully, we will see you back here on Maconi Entertainment in the not too far off future. The Racers Elite Truck Series going to be running at IRP this upcoming Tuesday. So you want to give us a nice little preview for that race?
Yeah, it's always a good time. It's one of my favorite tracks, actually. I have not run the Maconi setup there yet, so I'm interested to see how that changes my line maybe. But we're all going to figure that out together on Tuesday. So make sure you guys tune in at 7:45 Eastern Time.
And I've gotten the opportunity to be on the call for the past couple of weeks of that series with our Maconi Entertainment colleague, Mr. Justin Prince. I believe it will be Dylan Coyle back on the call for that this upcoming Tuesday. But Andrew, we'll let you go and celebrate this P2 in a moment. Just we'll let you give any thanks or shout-outs firstly before we let you go.
Yeah, first, congrats to Dale. He ran a great race, and Lee, unfortunately, he had some trouble there at the end because he was really kicking butt there. Really good run for him. And want to thank our servicemen and women, you guys, for helping out in the booth. Want to thank friends, family, everybody that tunes in to watch, shows up to race. And if you're interested in checking us out, just head on over to racerselite.com. We've got league racing 4 nights a week right now, plus a ton of other single events. So always something going on here. You can shoot me a message on Discord. You can find the invite right on our website, and we'll get you set up.
And thank you for joining us in the commentary booth, Andrew. Well done on the P2, and looking forward to seeing you out there on the racetrack, wherever it is in the not too far off future, man. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, fellas.
All right, Andrew Teft, your second place finisher, will round out the podium here with True Coke finishing in third. Truth, not bad of a run, getting third there at the end, taking advantage of Lee's incident. Take us through your day as a whole.
Oh, I was just hoping to hold on and to see how things went. And I got up there to third, and I thought, wow, everybody was having problems, and I hadn't had no problems yet. And I done good until the second half, and then I kind of slipped, but overall it was all right. It was a good race. I enjoyed it.
What would you say are the challenging parts of this track from your perspective?
The whole thing,
Everything about this track.
everything about this track. I just winged my way through it, man. I did. I
Just winged it.
through
I like it.
Yep.
I like
Just-
it.
Kept my pace and just trying to race the racetrack and not mess up and trying to stay focused. And with my ADHD, it's kind of hard to, you know.
Fair. Who do you want to give shout outs to before we let you go?
I like to thank my wife for supporting me, the team, Misfits with Troy and Jesse and Chris and all the guys, and Andrew for putting it on, you guys for broadcasting, and can't wait to watch you back here in just a little bit.
Appreciate your time, Truth. Well done tonight.
Thank you very much.
Well, there you go, Truth Hulk, your third place finisher, and that is our podium this evening. Ron, final thoughts before we bid adieu on tonight.
I'll tell you what, this race was one that really tested these drivers just as we expected about 2 hours ago when we were about to get this race up, rolling, and ready to rock. We were expecting it to be one of attrition. Certainly became that way at the end of it. Lots of racers running into some difficulties running around this track. I certainly enjoyed it. I think we had a fun time here today. Not the end of the NASCAR Next Gen action here at the Glen is coming up later on this evening, while the action from Door to Door Sim Racing League running at this exact racetrack. But this race was a fun one, just a part of the wonderful action here from the world of Racers Elite that you can catch here on Maconi Entertainment every single Tuesday night. But man, Watkins Glen was a menace here today.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't forget what we got coming up here later today. We got Door to Door at Watkins Glen at 8 o'clock. Tomorrow, 1600 Fords on Monday's Strength of Field Series at 345 at VIR. Tuesday night, Racers Elite Truck Series at IRP. Then we got a Friday special edition of ARCA at USA Speedway at 7. Saturday night, the Full Length Cup Challenge back at Richmond Raceway at 8:30. And so with that, that'll do it for us here tonight. Thanks for joining us for this special here on Maconi Entertainment. Enjoy the Cup race at Watkins Glen, and we'll talk to you all later tonight. On behalf of Howie in our production booth, Ron, my color commentator, Mike Scala, saying so long. This has been a presentation of Maconi Entertainment. Dale Prokop Valakat, your winner at the Glen. So long.